This is Will's Amstuds here, and I'm coming to you with episode 3 of Profit First for Detailers. And I'm excited about this one. We are going to get our hands dirty finally. We are going to start digging into the meat and potatoes, so to speak, of this whole system. So, with this episode, we are going to cover how to do an instant assessment on your business. Yes, you are going to have to do a little work here. What this is going to do is it's going to basically break down and give you a strong idea of how much money you've been bringing in and where it's getting spent at. And then we're going to compare that to where a business of your size should be allocating your money based on our four accounts here. And if you, just as a reminder, that's going to be our profit, owner's expense, or owner's pay, I should say, operating expense, and taxes. So let's go ahead and get the intro out of the way, and then we'll break into this episode. It's saying that we should be using to operate our business off of, which comes out to $104,000. We've been using $185,000, okay? That's a fuck ton more than 40%. And by fuck ton, I mean specifically $81,000 more. $81,000 is the... Alright guys, let's check this out. So, I know you are all very accustomed now to looking at my pretty face and everything. I really appreciate it. I really do. George does too. He's back here looking like his usual self. But for this episode, we are going to mainly be looking at a screen recording. So we're going to actually go through and go through a real instant assessment one-on-one with you guys here. And I'm going to fill out the form as we go along, and hopefully you will fill out the form with your own numbers as you go along. Actually, not hopefully. You need to do it. If you want to watch it one time around, just to get an idea, fine. But you need to do this, and don't procrastinate on it. We need to get this done. So a couple things that will be super helpful if you have them. An income statement of your business for either the last 12 months or last year. Your pay stubs if you're on salary, or at least some sort of form to show you what you actually paid yourself as an owner. Or the owners, plural, if you have multiple owners. And note, owners, not employees, owners. If you have that available for, again, either the last 12 months or last year, excellent. And then a balance sheet for your business. Now, these are not mandatory. We can still figure this out if you don't have it. But if you do have it, makes it a little bit easier. So go ahead and get those together first. And then if you don't have it, that's all right. You might need access to your bank. You might need access to your bank statements, tax returns. And then we'll take what you have and we're going to use it to fill out this instant assessment. So let's go ahead and take a look at this now. Okay guys, so I have up here the charts and graphs that actually are available at Mike McCallowitz's website. If you put in his name actually, .com, MikeMcCallowitz.com, and you can pull up his website. I'll put a link in there, and then you just go to the resources page and you'll pull up this graph here, graphs and charts from Profit First, as you see listed up here. This is all well and good up here, but what we're dealing with today is going to be the graph down here. Oh yes, the Profit First assessment form. So, don't get overwhelmed. It's actually pretty simple to fill out. I'm going to walk you guys through it, and I'm going to use an example here. So, first and foremost, the first thing that we want to do here is we need to go in and fill out the top line revenue. Now, the top line revenue is going to be your gross income or your total income from last year or the last 12 months, whichever one you decide to do. For me, I did last year because I had everything completed already. So the top line revenue, all right? So for sample sake here, we're just going to go ahead and put in a nice $350,000, let's say, all right? Let's say 350K. Now, that number looks real nice, right? Now we're going to drop down to the second, this is going to be A2, the second box here. Hopefully you have this printed out and you're filling out as you go along here. This is materials and subs. So with materials and subs, this is only going to get filled out if your materials cost you more than 25% of your gross income, which as a service-based business, again, most of you guys are probably detailers, at least right now watching this. If you are a service-based business like a detailer, you should not be spending more than 25% on your materials. If you are, you're definitely going to be cutting some expenses here. But as it also says, subcontractors is also going to go into here. So if you have subcontractors that cost 25% more of your business, which in my case I did. So in my case I subcontract out clear bra, window tint, paintless dent removal, wheel repair. Like I have a few things that I subcontract out. The biggest of which being fucking clear raw. But anyway, if you have something that equals 25% or more of your top line revenue, of your gross, we're going to enter that number here. If you do not, put a 0 in here. And for a lot of detailers, especially if you're just working solo or you're digging into the business and you haven't taken off yet, or again you're very small still, this is likely going to be a 0 in here, which is fine. Like don't. This is not a good or bad by putting this in here. For me, it was a little bit of an eye opening because my top line looked really great, and then I had to knock off 25% of what my income statement showed right away because again I subcontract out. But this again, it will give you a realistic impression of how much money you're actually making compared to how much money you're spending right away before it even hits your bank. So in this case, I'm going to just go ahead and let's see here. We got 350,000. So what do we got? 30%. We'll go ahead and put 90,000 in here for subs. So that's going to be over 25% of what 350K is. Again, if you have something that applies to this and 25% more, go ahead and put it in. Otherwise, put a big fat 0, put it in A, but scratched out, put an X, whatever. Now note, subcontractors are not employees. Okay, a subcontractor is somebody who comes in and you pay them and they fill out their own taxes, they take care of their own stuff, you're not paying workers' comp for them, they are not listed as your employee. Employees, we are going to take care of that expense if you have some down here under operating expense. This is only for materials and subcontractors. Okay, so just keep that clear here of the difference between the two. And if you're unsure of what number to put here, if you're unsure where you fall at exactly, if your numbers aren't clear, you're not really sure what you spent, whatever, put a 0. Okay, that is the default answer here, is to put a 0 if you're not sure. All right, now next box, as you see, we're going down, we're already to a third box, and Jace is barking again as he does in every one of my fucking videos. Anyway, we are going to now take your top line revenue minus your subcontractors, and we're going to have your real revenue. Okay, this is your real number here. So this is the money that you are actually bringing in, because again, if you have subs here, that money that you're taking in is going directly to them. You're not keeping their cut of it at all. Okay, at all. So that does not count as quote unquote your money. Okay, so we are now coming down with our real revenue number here. So we got a nice $260,000. This is the number that we are working with now as our business. Okay, as our business. So coming down from here, we're going to next deal with, as you see, profit first. This is going to be our first account. If you remember, we had 5 bank accounts that we are going to want to set up. If you follow the task on the end of the last video, you should already have your profit account set up. If not, mandatory, guys, you got to get your profit account set up, and I recommend go ahead and open up all 5 accounts. So you should have 1 checking account already. You want to have 5 in total. So you're going to have a profit account, owner's pay or owner's compensation account, tax account, and then your operating expenses. So that will be your 5 accounts here. So we're going to fill in what profit was for the last year or for the last 12 months, whichever one you're doing. Now, a profit is very important here, understanding the difference between a profit and between your owner's pay. Okay, so a profit is going to be any money in excess to what you paid yourself and minus expenses, obviously. So any bonus check that you cut yourself, any additional money that you paid yourself. Now in my case, as I explained in my other videos, I had money left over in the bank at the end of the year. However, I didn't know where it went afterwards. I never paid it to myself. And looking at my bank account currently to what my bank account was last year at this time, there's not a big difference. So chances are, or not chances are, that money was spent on either previous debt or it was spent on expenses for this year. Either way, it's stuff that went directly to the operating expense, which is what we're trying to, I'm not saying get away from, but we're trying to draw some of the money that we're blowing over here, and we're trying to fill it in up here. Okay, that's essentially what we're doing here. So in my case, I did not know what my profit was, if anything, because again, the money that I had left over, I never actually drew it out of my account to pay myself as an extra bonus. It's sucks, and this might be the same number you guys come up with, but I had a nice fat 0 sitting here for my profit. And again, if you guys are unsure if you had a profit or not, if you have not paid out yourself a bonus check of any sort, or if you're the type where say you're a sole owner of the business here and you're just paying yourself constantly, you're just dumping all the money into yourself, you make 500 and you pocket 500, this is still going to be listed as a zero here, because right now that is technically owner's pay that you're giving yourself, or owner's compensation, which we're coming up to next. All right, next form that we have here is we're going to deal with the owner's pay. So owner's pay is going to be the amount of money that you are paying yourself regularly, so whether it's every 2 weeks or once a month, or however you have it divided up. Or like I said, if we use a previous example, if you're just pocketing every damn thing, hopefully you have a distortion or distinguish between the money you actually paid yourself and the money that you've ended up paying in other expenses for your business. But again, for this example, owner's pay, and my sister and my case, we pay ourselves every 2 weeks, so we're on a salary. I would recommend getting yourself to where you pay yourself regularly. So again, everything is in a rhythm, is regulated. It's not just, hey, I made $5,000 this week, I'm going to pocket $5,000, and oh shit, I made 500 next week, I'm going to pocket 500. We're going to give ourselves a rhythm here to go off of, okay? So for owner's pay here, we're going to go ahead and we'll just put in, this is for combined owners, right? So this is for the accumulation of multiple owners, if there are multiple owners. So in the case of my sister and myself, I combined both of our salaries for that year and put it together here. If it's just yourself, then just put your own in here. Again, this is not employees. This is going to be for owners pay only. Emphasis on owners, right? Okay, now we're going to drop down here to the tax, the fun one, the one that we all love to see, right? We're going to drop down to the tax box here. Now this is the amount that the business has paid in taxes. Let me say it one more time so it sinks in. This is the amount the business has paid in taxes. So for example, if you're on salary, like my sister and I, for example, here, and our taxes are coming out automatically from our paycheck when we cut a check to ourselves, business didn't pay for that. That came out of my personal check. That came out of my personal deposit. Business didn't pay for that. Now, what we were able to is we did have the business pay the business taxes. So at the end of the year, when it shows, hey, you guys had a profit and you got to pay X amount of taxes, we did have money put to the side for the business to actually pay the taxes. Not all of us do that though, and prior to us moving into our shop, we did not do that. So when tax time came around and it says, oh, you as a business, and again, this is whether you're a sole prop, you're a LLC, whatever, and taxes show up and it says, okay, well, your business owes X amount of dollars. If you are having to dig into your own money, your personal account, whatever the case, it's not coming directly out of a business account, that doesn't count in here. This is the amount that the business paid in taxes, not what you took out of your own personal money that you already paid yourself and then put back up towards the business to pay for the taxes. This is only if you had money set aside for the business account, okay? So hopefully I'm clear on that. Hopefully that's it's easy to understand. If you have any questions on it, obviously just let me know. So we're gonna go ahead and we'll just put a nice 5K in here, which we'll say, all right, that's enough to cover some of the taxes, but not everything. So at least we had something going towards it. One other thing to note as well is this is going to eventually cover not only your business taxes, the money that we allocate to the tax here, is not only going to cover your business taxes, but it's also going to pay you back. So like in our case, how we have taxes pulled out of our salary check every couple weeks, this is going to be made up to refund us our tax money. So the business is going to cover all taxes. Now yes, this is still technically our own money, right? But if it's still in the business account, your own business is going to pay for your personal taxes and for your business taxes. But this is what we're working towards. What we're filling out right now is what you did that year. So again, if you paid for taxes, personal and or business, out of your pocket, this is a zero, okay? This is a zero. If you took some of it out of your business account and some of it out of your personal, whatever you took out of your business account will go into here. But the other part that you took out of your personal account does not. And if you were smart enough to actually have your business, specifically your business, put money to the side for taxes, then put that number in here, okay? And then last but not least, we have the whopper. We have the operating expense. I'm going to go ahead and break out a calculator here real quick. So operating expense is going to essentially be what you have paid your employees, what you have paid on equipment, what you've paid on supplies, insurance, rent, car payment, blah, 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 blah. Basically everything else expense-wise, which again, if you do have an income statement, this should be listed on there. If you don't, then you can pretty much figure out, hey, okay, I spent this amount here and this amount here. It's essentially what's left over that's going to get put into here. But if you do have your actual statements, I want you to go ahead and put in what's on the statement. So for our example here, we're going to go ahead and put in the remainder, which is going to be 185,000 there. Yeah, that's an expensive fucking business right there, buddy. It's costing 185K a year to be able to make 260K. As you can see here, our balance is not good, but that's why we're doing this assessment. Okay, this is why we're doing the assessment. So again, just to be clear, this is the operating expense account is going to be all other expenses. And if you do not have an exact number here, ballpark is okay. Okay, we're not taking an accounting class here. We're trying to just get a strong general grasp of where our business is at, where our money is going, and that way we can make adjustments as needed going forward. Now we're going to move on to column B. So this is the PF, profit first, percentage. So we're going to fill in these percentages based on figure 4. So let's take a look at figure 4 real quick here. So on figure 4, he gives a different real revenue range of what you're actually making. Now note, real revenue was our secondary number here. So not our top line, but our real revenue. So whatever you filled in here is what's going to apply to figure 4 to figure out where we actually fall. So in the case here, Bucket Bob's Car Wash brought in 260K of real revenue. So he's going to fall into column B here. He just skims past it. Whatever your number is where is the column you're going to deal with. So if you're 0 to $250,000 a year, so in this case we would take 5% profit here, and this is what's going to go up into our state here. So this is what we call our TAP. So these are our target allocation percentages that we're looking at down here. Now, because and then you're going to follow that down, owner's pay 50%. We will then go to owner's pay and put 50% in here, so on and so forth, right? Now in this case, Bucket Bob's Car Wash made $260,000, right? So we're going to fall into category B here. So we have 10% profit this is our target percentage. This is not what we actually did. This is our goal that we're trying to go towards here. So we're going to have 10% profit, 35% owner's pay, 50% taxes. Taxes stay the same across the board, and then operating expenses at 40%. So let's go ahead and pop that in up here. So we had 10% for profit, if I can hit the right button. Then we're going to have 35% for owner's pay. Taxes, as we said, was a flat 15%, regardless of where you fall down here. And then for operating expenses was the remainder of our money. So we had 30, 40, 56 is going to be 40% left over. Double check that. So we had 10, 35, 15, and 40. And we check down here again, 10, 35, 15, and 40. Now we're going to get to the fun part. Oh yes, we're going to get to the profit first money. First thing we're going to do is we're going to take the real revenue number in A3 here, and we're going to copy that over to our C3 number. Okay, so this is still our real revenue. We're going to go ahead and pop that right in there, because this is what we're basing everything off of, is our real revenue number, right? Now these going down from here are going to tell us what our actual dollar amount should be based on this type of real revenue number. So if we're saying we're making 260 grand a year in real revenue, and ideally we want to have 10% profit set to the side. If you happen to skip math class in high school or numbers aren't your thing, we'll go ahead and go through this real quick. But essentially all you're going to do is take this real revenue number, multiply it by the percentage over here, and that's going to give you the box, what you should put in this box here. Same thing. Then we'll take this, multiply it by this percentage, and it'll then go in here. So in this case, we're going to take 260,000, multiply it by 10%. Make sure you hit that fucking percent, and this gives you your actual dollar here. So it's going to be $26,000 that we would want to set aside for profit here, right? We're going to go ahead and put that $26,000 right in there. Now we're going to repeat this again, clear this out. We're going to take our 260,000, multiply it by now 35% to calculate what our owner's pay should be here. So again, we're going to multiply this by 35%. Owner's pay should be $91,000. Okay, so we're going to pop that into, oops, it's beeping at me. Pop that into our owner's pay, 91,000. Oh man, I'm messing shit up. There we go, 91,000. Next, of course, we have our taxes. which that should come out to 39,000 if my mental math is correcto. So we're going to go 260,000 times now 15%. Yeah, 39,000 goes here. Plug that baby in there. And again, hopefully you're do this with your own numbers as you go along. So again, you're just crunching your percentages at this point based on whatever your real revenue number is. And then finally, we're going to have the operating expense number. So we're going to have 260,000 times 40%, which I believe is going to be $104,000. Yeah, $104,000. That's why my sister makes me do all the math. So we're gonna go back here, and we have this at $104,000. Now, quick note, I forgot to mention this earlier. You want to check your numbers. So when you complete everything over here, to check your numbers, essentially your real revenue plus your materials and subs should equal your top line revenue. So again, as an example, if we were to take our real 160K plus our 90,000, which was our materials and subs, we're going to come out to our $350,000, right? Now again, obviously, if you have a zero here, these two numbers are going to be the same. The next thing you'll want to check is you will want to add up your profit, owner's pay, tax, and operating expense to make sure that you come up with your real revenue number. So in this case, we have 185,000 plus 5,000 is 190,000, and 190,000 plus 70,000 equals 260,000. So just think of it, 19 plus 7 equals 26. We equal 260,000 here. So these numbers should equal this. When you're filling this out, if by chance your numbers do not match this, you will adjust your operating expense number up or down to make it match up here. Okay, now again, don't freak out. Yes, I know this is not exact OCD math here. We're not getting exact accounting numbers here, but this is just to get us an idea of where our business is at. Now here's where some people are going to get pissed off, some people aren't going to believe it, some people aren't going to stay on board with it, whatever the case may be. But now we're going to compare our actual numbers with our TAPS numbers, our targeted numbers, the numbers that we should be making. So if you look at here, our profit was $0, as we discovered, for Bucket Bob's Wash. Bob should have been pocketing $26K, and he should have been pocketing $26,000 in the profit account, right? But he didn't. He didn't. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take profit minus, or your actual number, so in this case the actual number of profit, 0, and we're going to subtract the profit dollar sign amount, so 26,000, and that's going to give us what we put in the D account. So this is going to come out to negative $26,000. We are short here, right? Sorry, I need to stretch that out just a little bit. Stretch it out a little bit. All right, perfect. Owner's pay. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to take $70,000, subtract $91,000 from it, and again, we're going to come up with a negative number here. It's going to be negative $21,000. Just go with me here. These numbers will make sense in a second when I show you what to do next. And let's see here. Try to center that a little bit more. Third column, taxes. We set aside $5,000. This is saying we should have set aside $39,000. So $5,000 minus $39,000 is going to again give us a negative of $34,000. And then our final one, and just so you know, these parentheses just mean negative in case you weren't clear on that. For our final one, we have operating expenses of what we did spend compared to what we should have spent, and this is going to come out to a positive this time of $81,000. Now we have our D column, what we call the bleed, where money should be meets where money has been going equals the bleed. Okay, that's what he calls it here. Last part, the fix. This is the good part, right? This is the good part. So essentially, if you have a negative number here, then you need to write in increase in the fix. If you have a positive number here, then you need to write in decrease in the fix. Okay, so we have a negative $26,000 here, right? So this needs to be increase. Same thing, we have negative $21,000 here, also an increase. Now, if your numbers aren't the same as mine, if you happen to have, say, decrease here, that's fine. Like, if it says, if you happen to have a positive number here, then you need to put decrease over here. Same thing, if this is positive, put decrease over here. So just, again, this is just an example so you can kind of follow through with it, or follow along with it, but use your own numbers here to fill this in. We have another negative number, so we're going to have an increase. And then finally we have a positive number, and this we're going to need to decrease. If my fucking thing would work. There we go. Decrease. Let me adjust that a tad bit. Alright. Let's take a look at the numbers and the fix that we came up with. So in our profit account, we should have been allocating 26 grand in our profit account over the course of the last year, the last 12 months. In our case, we had a big fat zero, which means we had a negative $26,000 in this account, which means we need to obviously increase the profit account. Yes, we do. Next, we have owner's pay. Owner got $70,000 over the last $70,000 over the last 12 months or over the last year. But based on our allocation percentage, we should be getting 35% of this money, of the $260,000, which comes out to $91,000. So we've actually been underpaying ourselves in here. Now, this is not always going to be the case. Some of you fuckers out there are going to have a big old fat number over here and a smaller number over here, and you're going to be pissed off because it's going to be like, man, what the hell? Why do I got to pay myself less? Stick with me here, okay? Don't get all fucking pissed off at me. Stick with me here. So, in this case, we're going to actually need to increase the owner's pay by $21,000, right? And then we have the good old tax account. I know we are all together on this being our favorite one. Tax account, we put $5,000 to the side. This says we should have put $39,000 to the side. Now, that number may seem high. But again, remember, this number is going to make sure that you're able to pay your business taxes and your owner's pay taxes at the end of the year, okay? So this is going to cover everything. So again, hang in there with me. And in this case, at least we had a little bit set to the side, so this gave us a negative $34,000. So we're at $34,000 short here from what our percentage should be. So again, we need to increase the amount of money that we're going to put into our tax account. And then finally, we have our operating expenses. And in the operating expenses account, we were spending $185,000 in operating expenses. And again, this is for our products, for our equipment, for our toys, you know, our quick jack lifts, and for our cord reels, and for our insurance and our rent and all the other shit that we use to operate our business. And as you see, it says we should have been using $104,000. That's 40% of our. That's a fat chunk there, man. That's 40% of our income. It's saying that we should be using to operate our business off of, which comes out to $104,000. We've been using $185,000. Okay, that's a fuck ton more than 40%. And by fuck ton, I mean specifically $81,000 more. $81,000 is equivalent to a fuck ton, if you didn't know that. $81,000 more than what we should have been spending to operate our business, which means we need to decrease the amount of money we're spending here. Okay, now if you're quick-witted here, you've already figured out the amount of money up here that we need to increase is equivalent to the amount of money here we need to decrease. If you add 26, 21, 34, it equals 81,000. 81,000 is what we have here. So essentially, we're going to start siphoning money out of our operating expenses and start actually paying ourselves with the shit, right? This is going to go to your profit account. That pays your ass, and that creates a rainy day fund. And it's going to also be used to pay down debt if you have debt, which we'll get into later. But this is going to go into your profit account. It is going to go into your owner's pay account, which goes directly to your ass. Happy fucking day for that, right? And then it's going to go into the tax account also, which not everybody's happy about, but guess what? It's a hell of a lot better than getting that surprise at the end of the year. Okay, and again, the tax account is going to cover your owner's pay taxes as well, so the business is going to cover you there. Now, I know a lot of people operate under the mindset of, well, you pay less taxes if you actually buy more things for your business. True, that's very true. Like I've always heard that, and I know people have done that, and I've been guilty of it sometimes as well. However, it can end up getting perverse. By that, I mean you can end up taking that and saying, hey, I'm showing a $10,000 profit towards the end of the year here. I'm going to go spend all $10,000 on some shit I really don't need. But it's now a business expense, so I can use it as a tax write-off. Ha, ha, ha. Fuck you, Uncle Sam. Well, guess what? Uncle Sam would have only gotten about 30% of that fucking tax money.
That extra money would have went in your pocket, bro. Okay, it would have went in your pocket. So don't sit there and be greedy and be like, well, if I can't have all $10,000, I don't want any of it. No, no, give the fucking tax man his cut and then pocket the rest. We're gonna pocket the rest, okay? So again, let's be clear about everything. We have your actual numbers, which we calculated based on your income statements, your tax returns, your whatever, your scribbles in a notebook like I used to do, whatever your actual numbers are. And again, I really recommend having an accounting software, a bookkeeper, and a bookkeeper to be able to help you do this. It'll make things a little bit clearer. If it's not in the budget right now, that's fine, but at least try to work on keeping things a little bit clearer. And QuickBooks, it's got a little bit of a learning curve, but it can really help you keep things a lot more clear than you can if you're just scribbling in a notebook or whatever. That's what I use. But again, if you can just have something in place to be able to help you keep track of where your money is being spent, it's going to be super helpful. That's when it's in column A. Column B, we have our percentages that we should have been allocating towards these accounts here. Column C, we have the amount of money that these percentages translated into. So this gives us our dollar amounts based on these percentages. And then this shows us the difference basically of what we were setting aside, what we should be setting aside, and where that leaves us. Congratulations, you have completed your instant assessment. Now, of course, the next question is, where do we go from here, right?
Alright guys, so hopefully you're still with me. Hopefully I didn't scare you away. Hopefully you're not pissed off at the numbers. Hopefully you're not pissed off at me. Hopefully you were able to stick through it and actually complete your assessment. I really hope that you did. Now, the next thing that we got to do, and this is it, man. We're walking forward going here, is we got to take those caps that we talked about, those current allocation percentages, so those lower percentages or high, or, the ones that basically we did at the end there of what we actually have been spending last year. And we now need to start to walk towards those TAPs, which is our target allocation percentage. Key here, don't go neck deep, man. Don't go neck deep. Don't go, in this case, we're looking at Bucket Bob's, and he's got like 71% of his money he was spending on operating expenses. And he's like, fuck, I'm overspending by 31%. I need to cut that down to the 40% mark right away. Don't do it, okay? We do not want to take that approach because it's too much too quick. It's really too much too quick. So baby steps in the right direction, consistent baby steps, but nevertheless take small steps to accomplish this goal. So for me, I'll tell you what I did. Like I set my profit was at 0. I set my profit to 3%. I was comfortable with that. He recommended 1%. I was like, I can do 3%. I'm comfortable doing 3% for my profit. So I would recommend between 1 and 3% for that profit account. If you were actually making profit already, congratulations, that's great. If you do need to still make steps going up higher in your profit, then again, I would recommend taking a 1 to 3% amount and increasing it by that. Better safe than sorry. If you're not sure, go towards a 1, okay? Owner's pay, same idea. If you're used to living at a level way up here and you got to drop way the hell down here, you don't want to just do that overnight. You need to start being a little bit more responsible with your money, obviously, and to start living within your means, not living within what you think are your means. And so if you're decreasing your owner's pay, then, or increasing for that matter, again, do it with a small, I would say 1 to 3%, 1 to 3% of an increase or decrease. If you want to play it safe, then again, stick with that 1%. With ours, I think I did that one by 3% as well because, like that assessment, we were actually underpaying ourselves, which was like, that was kind of a nice surprise, I don't know, I think it was a nice surprise. It's better than having to take a pay cut, right? But anyway, we actually have to increase our pay just by a little bit. That one wasn't too far off. Taxes, same idea. I would recommend setting that up to 1 to 3%, and then your operating expenses. So that's the range that I'm recommending. Now, if you're not sure where to draw from where, and the example that we did is pretty easy. We're only decreasing our operating expenses, and we're taking money from there, and we're allocating it to different accounts now. So if, say for example, we're at 71% of operating expenses, and I'm going to now take 1%, put it towards profit, 1% put it towards owner's pay, and 1% and put it towards taxes, then I'm going to, that's 3% total if we're counting here, right? We're going to deduct that 3% from our operating expenses. That's going to bring us down to 68%. And then we're going to increase our current allocation percentages, which was a number we came up with from the last 12 years, or 12 years. Shit, that's gonna be a long time. 12 months, and add 1 percentage point onto that. So if you remember, our taxes were at 2%, we'll increase that to 3%. Our owner's pay was at 27%, we'll increase that to 28%, and our profit was at 0%, we're going to increase that to 1%. So that's just an example. In summary, what I need you guys to do, make sure you have your 5 accounts open. There they are. All 5 accounts open, right? Complete the instant assessment. And if you did not complete it because you're short on documents or you're short on information or whatever, complete it the best that you can based on bank transfers, based on whatever tracking that you've been doing. Try to complete it as best as you can so you have something. If anything, don't lie to yourself and say, oh, I'm sure I had some profit, and then just put some number in there that you really have no proof that you're getting. Again, if any adjustments are going to be made, it's going to be made in that operating expense account. And then again, we're going to open up our bank accounts. I want you to comment on the video. If you completed the damn assessment, comment. I need you to, and encourage others to do it, because if you don't do this part, it's all for nothing, man. You just wasted your time, and that's not what I'm here to do, and I sure as hell hope that's not what you're here to do. So bank accounts assessment done. All right, guys. Hope the video was good. Hope you enjoyed it. Please like and subscribe. Share it. If you know somebody who can get use out of it, please share it, and keep the conversation going in the group. I hope you guys keep it going. All right. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend, and I'll be back next week.